has been
Land of the free.
We'll,
Okay.
we'll be gentle and kind with each other as we
Yes,
read out loud.
we will.
Is there
You
any
can go first. So
pair that would like to go first?
We'll
Itching,
go.
burning, dying, go first.
We'll go. We should go to the front because we are taping this for our fellows who can't be here.
Alright.
Land of the free.
Okay.
Is that what
I
it is?
fight for what's right, the noble cause of the Union.
My strong southern ties,
My work brought me to prison to feed and clothe the innocent slaves.
for dodging bullets and eavesdropping behind enemy lines.
My covert messages in hollowed out vegetables saved lives.
My wit and charm saved myself.
My role in the war drove me into poverty.
Put me in the spotlight.
I died alone.
I died in the arms of a Union soldier.
Still, I am proud I fought for what's right.
Very nice. And who did you just bring to life for?
I was Belle LeBoy.
And I was Van Loo. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Next up. All right.
I am a spy. I escaped slavery.
From the silver spoon set.
I fight for liberation of all men.
Prosperity of the good old South.
My motives, the changing of minds.
Keep and maintain our fine way of life.
My weapons of choice. Hands-on,
Guile,
teaching,
charm,
healing,
wit,
action,
conversation.
perseverance for the cause.
I help win battles.
Ignored by my allies.
Celebrated by nobility.
Dead, poor, and alone.
Drowning with gold.
Nice.
Very nice.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Do you
That was great.
individual?
All right. Anyone else? Y'all want to go?
Come back together.
You ready?
To
Oh.
this.
Let's do it.
All right.
So it's weird, but because I'm reading this side of the page, I'm trying to understand it here, so I don't screw
That's
it
not
up.
weird.
And
All
I'll
right.
say something. I'll say this.
1, 2, 3. I'm a former slave.
owner. In 1844, I ended my family's allegiance to slavery.
In 1849, I escaped the bonds of slavery. We supported the Union. I
I
nursed
nursed the northern boys at Liberty Prison.
the liberated black men in Union camps.
After the war, as
As
gratitude, I was appointed postmaster.
I was given $200. But we both sacrificed everything. And I live on a hero.
And I died an unknown.
And that was Tubman and Lee. This is a really good time for us to have it. I just want to say, I think that was really good choice for windows. Here we go. Next up. Okay, I'm gonna do that too. Yeah, it helps, weirdly enough.
These men think they're
So smart, wearing a tux and a title.
They're watching me, I know, but not closely enough.
They have
They have no
no
idea.
idea. Behind a sweet southern smile, a powerful woman, a leader of spies.
I'm watching them through a hole in the door.
It's dangerous work. Coded messages pass along battle lines.
Riding through enemy lines, dodging bullets, being in and out of jail.
Eventually, I moved to England and published my memoir,
Something to write home about.
And last but not least,
Land of the free.
Freedom for all, men regardless of race.
Virginia born. Freedom from tyranny and Union disgrace.
Virginia born, Virginia raised. Elizabeth Van Loo, a Southern belle in my own right. I, a Yankee doodler in invisible ink, sent messages to Union lines in eggshells and vegetable rinds.
I, Belle Boyd, a Southern belle through and through, but not above taking a life if so moved. Delivering gifts to men,
comfort and aid.
a bullet to the brain.
Paying visits
Paying visits to prison.
to serve them.
Serving time.
Behind
My
my
sweet charm, I hid a great secret, spying for
the
the
North,
South, to keep the land of the free, the home of the brave.
Great.
perfect timing. Right, Bishop? So after doing this with my students, this would be the time when they would work independently on their own to write their reflection on the writing process for me and their justification, citing evidence from the text on why they chose what they chose to put in their poems. Could happen in class. It could be a homework assignment. Doesn't have to take up so much time. And although it takes up time to get students ready to write these poems, once you invest that small amount of time at the beginning of doing this, once they understand what poems for two voices are and how to do them, then they can quickly employ them. Don't laugh at how much I have on this.
Try. Let me go ahead and pull this back up.
That's what still has to be organized. So the next slide, and I'll just talk to you about it because I don't need to pull it up to be able to talk to you about it, is why would we want to use this with our students? And in my demo lesson packet, I talk about that when I'm going to walk now, since I'm not tied to that. In my demo lesson packet, I talk about why we want to use that using theoretical foundations. Using theoretical foundations for that. And really, I am very curious and interested in the link between reading and writing, and how reading fosters writing. And we all just wrote really, really fun, good poems. A lot of people were able to get into the voice of those characters because we read first. Not because we just said, let's write a poem, because we had some mentor texts to go with. So I really am interested in that connection, and that's what I write about in my demo packet, the theoretical connection between reading and writing, and how reading helps comprehension, and writing about what we read fosters comprehension too. The more difficult the text that we give our students, the more time we should give them to write about it before we ask them to recall it or analyze it and talk about it. We write and we learn at the same time. So that's part of it. Another reason I really like this activity, and I think it's useful, I don't know how many of you are familiar with Robert Marzano's work, but he did a big whole metacognition study, meta-analysis of the 9 highly effective strategies to use in your classroom. And some of the things that he talks about, and I also write about this in my packet so you can take a look at it more specifically, that one of the most effective things you can do is have students compare and contrast things so they can identify similarities and differences, make metaphors, and create analogies. And that's exactly what writing about this is. So I think you get so much good pedagogical stuff in this activity. So that's one of the suggestions that I have on how I would use this in my classroom. Now, Faith, give me a testimonial, because Faith has already read this article and had to write this poem already about a month ago, because I do this presentation somewhat frequently. And so you actually did it with your students, right?
I did, yes. Well, one of the other teachers that was with us, she did it first, and she
And
teaches
she's
social
a-
studies, and she was like very, like the whole writing thing, she's like, I don't write because it's social studies and stuff like that, but she actually used it, and she did, they compared 2 religions, and it was fantastic. They used the same sheet and stuff like that. They talked about the gods that they worship and their place of worship and everything like that, and the kids really got into it. She let them use their own voice, and so they kind of they use slang in it, things like that.
What I really like about that, Faith, is that she uses a topic that could be very controversial and,
Right.
and sort of built on binaries, right? But because you have to also find the similarities in this poem, I think that it creates a commonality
Right.
among faiths that builds compassion. So I really like that.
Yeah, and then I did it, my kids were reading The Hatchet, and so there's a big difference between Brian at the beginning of the book, obviously, and at the end of the book. So they did one with New Brian, Old Brian, and so it was really cool, because then it was like, he's like kind of fighting with himself. So it was like talking about, Old Brian was like talking to his mom, and he's like, Mom, where's my Game Boy? And then like New Brian was talking about how he was going to go outside and do all this kind of different things. So they also did that, where it was just the same character from the beginning of the book to the end of the book.
And do they enjoy it?
Oh, they love it. And that was the thing, she taught it to them first.
So you didn't have
And she's like next door to me, so she taught them to it first. So all I had to say was we're going to do poem 2 voices on Brian, and they like started to make their little, we don't have to give them the sheet, they just started to make their little 3-column things. And so we talked about it, but once they already know how to do it, it was pretty easy for them to just kind of jump into it.
Great. Thanks for the testimony.
Yeah, it was really good.
So in the essence of time, I'm not really going to spend much more time with this presentation. I would, if we had more time, and you will in your own presentations, you should get the full 75 minutes. We would brainstorm right now about how could we apply this to our own curriculum. Because I know we all teach different things, but one of the great things about the Summer Institute and also about being a master teacher is that you can take great ideas and figure out ways to adapt them and fit them into your own lessons. So that would be a lot of the discussion we would do right now. We're going to skip that, and we're also going to skip the writing the prose piece because you don't have to do the boring part. You get the idea. But what we will do now is you will evaluate me in a fast write. So, and it's going to be a letter, sort of how we started out with the conversation to each other. You're going to give me your feedback in a letter. Be honest, be constructive. Don't be mean. Please. Let me know what worked. Let me know what could be better about it. And then we're going to sit and just sort of debrief together about how you can use this as a mentor text for your own demo lesson. And that's it. Thank you very